Okay, this is part 7, and we're going to be beating the dead horse here. This puzzle language, the only way to really understand it is when you see enough of the clues together and you get beaten over the head with them, you go, okay, you know what, there's something here. This isn't crazy. Here, I mentioned earlier in the video set that it was Corona, New York. I never really mentioned how I got there. I just said Corona, New York, Flushing, Queens. Well, this is how we get there. Dr. Floyd calls his daughter on her birthday. This is Vivian Kubrick. We have the one-eyed Jack up here with the lens. But anyway, it's a Bell telephone video conference that he's doing with his daughter. She says she wants a telephone for her birthday and a Bush baby. Okay. The first, since it's always based on the first Bell telephone, or the first any video phone and ever, was shown at the 1964 World's Fair in Corona. So this is our connection to the Corona Fair. This is the first time anyone had a video phone in the world, and it was made by Bell Telephone, the same company that when this video starts, before he calls her, you can see the Bell Telephone logo. It's the same exact company. So the first one that is ever used is at the 1964 World's Fair, Corona, Flushing, Queens. Then we have Dr. Floyd calls his daughter on her birthday. Once again, birthdays are a clue. And this is Vivian Kubrick, and she obviously already has a video phone, so she says she wants a phone for her birthday. We can only assume she wants a portable phone for her birthday. Isn't that interesting? He knew that way back in 1969. And we have here, she is again with the phone, the video. She wants a phone and a Bush baby. If we take this image and we do something to it quickly here, it turns into the Minotaur. You know, the same bull horns that we've been seeing all along. This is a shot from 2001: A Space Odyssey. This is Jack and the Collins Act. The reason we know it's a Collins Act is because it has the patented eagle beak on the back of it. This is to use to break doors and stuff. So it's the eagle beak. We have the Apollo 11 Eagle has landed. We have the Adler Eagle typewriter that Jack types on. Adler in German is eagle. So it's a chrome, shiny chrome, dull, flat. All work and no play make Jack a dull boy, dull, flat, shiny. So it's a little clue, and I showed you it before, but I didn't mention that it had the eagle beak. It's a little tidbit. Collins Act. Here we have the man-bear pig. This is obviously it's a man in a suit, and it sort of looks like a dog and a pig at the or a bear, a dog, and a pig all at the same time. So it's a combination. And what this reminds me of is we have the Minotaur, but it has the Cyclops eye. So it's a man, it's a Minotaur, it's a Cyclops. So here we have the man-bear pig. This is very interesting here. We have Dave Bowman, and we have images are being projected onto his visor. These are not reflections, these are projections. And there's several of them. This is just one of them. Let's get out of this. Let's go to, here's the Unisphere in Corona, Flushing, Queens. And this is Men in Black. And they're about to fire on the UFO. The disc is smashing through the globe. The disc is destroying the globe. And they blow it up, and they blow the Unisphere up. And this is Corona, Flushing, Queens. So it's interesting that's in that movie. And also there's a flat earth thing. He says, 15 minutes ago, you thought the earth was, 15 minutes ago, you thought you were alone on earth. 500 years ago, you thought the earth was flat. Well, it's in the movie. Let's go to this one here. Here they sing the Mickey Mouse song. Once again, we have Walt Disney does all the animations for NASA, and we have the Winnie the Pooh doll, we have the Seven Dwarfs, the Dopey sticker disappears. I finally found a picture. This is Douglas Trumbull. He's the one that attends the fair that Kubrick hires, and this is the domed moonscape building. So inside this building, he was able to project a moonscape on the inside of this dome building with a fisheye lens, of course. So Kubrick hires him to work on 2001. We can only wonder why he wanted somebody that could project moonscapes on a domed ceiling. Let's close that out. Once again, we have the horse skull. It's not a taper skull. This one's very good. We already had the one-eyed Jack thing. Well, this is Moonwatcher. He discovers the bone weapon, and the first thing he does is he kills One Eye. That's the name of this ape here, One Eye. So isn't that interesting? One Eye, the ape. And Moonwatcher. Here we have the bull horns again. We have the flat monolith, the flat stone. Also, you'll notice it has a very diffuse, satin, dull, flat finish on it. Let's see here. What's this one? Here we have, this is Moonwatcher again, and he kills One Eye. In this scene right here, Animal Mother insults him, and he says, thank God for the sickle cell. And he goes, yeah, mother, whatever. Well, this is a little clue to, we're looking for diseases, manufactured diseases. And so this is one of the first things you're going to notice that, oh, he's talking about the sickle cell. That's weird. So keep this in your mind. There are diseases he's indicating in these movies. Here's Dr. Floyd. This always reminds me of the movie Coneheads, where he takes the six-pack and opens them all up and drinks them at the same time. That's not really related, but I thought it was interesting. Here's Jack. He's reading the Playgirl magazine, and we have the White Bunny. We have Miss Scott as a Playboy bunny in Dr. Strangelove. Slim Pickens is reading the Playboy magazine as he flies the plane. Danny is Doc, the White Rabbit. Bugs Bunny. Bugs Bunny is a Looney Tune. The Roadrunner is a Looney Tune. We have Crazy Earl gets killed by the exploding white rabbit. It's always a white rabbit, and this is a clue that we're looking for Lewis Carroll through the looking glass, and we're to follow the rabbit down the rabbit hole. And so whenever you see a rabbit or an inference to a rabbit such as this particular issue of Playboy was published on January 1st, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, and it just so happens that Danny Lloyd was born on New Year's Day. And also in Full Metal Jacket, they have the Tet Offensive. The Tet Offensive was launched on the Vietnamese New Year. It's always a holiday. This is a holiday clue. The first day at the Overlook is October 31st, which is Halloween Day. Danny's birthday is New Year's Day. So we're looking for holiday clues. Jackie Robinson is a holiday. Jackie Robinson Day is a holiday, April 15th. So it's a little thing here that we're looking for holidays and special dates we're looking for. Because you have to remember, Christopher Clavius, the Clavius moon base in 2001: A Space Odyssey, he's the first man that makes the first Gregorian calendar based on the heliocentric model. So we've got a clue to calendars, and we've got a clue to dates, and we've got a clue to holidays. Like in Dumb and Dumber, Jim Carrey plays Lloyd Christmas, a holiday. Isn't that weird? And Lloyd, like Danny Lloyd's name. So here's Danny Lloyd, and he's born on 1/1, Apollo 1, Apollo 11. Aces are 1 or 11. Danny is born on 1/1. And he shares a birthday with J.D., I believe it's J.D. Salinger. Let me see here. It's either Salinger or no, it's Lewis Carroll he shares a birthday with, I think. It's either Lewis Carroll or J.D. Salinger. No, it's Salinger. So J.D. Salinger's born 1/1. We have The Catcher in the Rye. The Catcher in the Rye is published July 16th, the date of the Apollo 11 launch. Salinger dies January 27th. This is the date of the Apollo 1 fire, January 27th. So the three men die in Apollo 1 on January 27th. Danny Lloyd is born on January 1st. J.D. Salinger is born on January 1st. J.D. Whiskey, Jack Daniels, Jack and Danny, Moonshine, Moonshots. We all shine on. The Shining, the original title of the book was The Shine. It was changed to The Shining. So you have shiny, shine, sharp, dull, flat. It's a little word game here. Let's close that. So he's on 1/1. Danny is a baseball player. In real life, he was a baseball player. He was in Little League. So we have another connection to baseball. Wendy has the baseball bat. We see the baseball in the Shining movie. We see the baseball glove in the movie. We've got Jack yelling at Wendy, "Give me the bat, Wendy, give me the bat." It's all about baseball bat. ball. So we know we're looking for baseball players. So I didn't pull Jackie Robinson out of thin air. I was already told we're looking for baseball players. The most famous 42 baseball player is Jackie Robinson. The number has been retired. There can be nobody who has that number anymore. It's a retired number. This is another clue. We're looking for baseball players that their numbers were retired. This is Capricorn 1, the movie that was made about the fake Mars landings. Well, this is the Apollo missions here. And he has a scorpion on him. This is a little clue to Scorpio. Capricorn 1, Capricorn is a zodiac sign. Capricorn 1 is also a clue to, we're looking for the, where is it? It'll come up. Just remember Capricorn 1. This is the corona. This is a ball here. Her hair has been shaped like a ball. You know, and he shines, and this room is completely mirrored in every direction. There's two credenzas, there's two lamps, there's two pictures, you know, and he's watching the monolith, the television set. The Gold Room, we have the Lone Ranger Theater is in Full Metal Jacket. The Lone Ranger theme is played in Clockwork Orange. It's like when Alex is having his tryst with the three women, they play the Lone Ranger theme. So here we have the Gold Room. So what does a Lone Ranger have to do with it? Well, his horse is silver. So we have silver and gold. The Lone Ranger. We have the Gold Room. We have 7 diamonds here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's just close that. Remember that. Let's go to this. What's this here? Here we have the Tricky Dick. This ceramic dick and balls is the prop that's used in Clockwork Orange. And it's filled with a liquid. So when you rock it from one position to the other, it will continue to rock in an odd fashion. It's an art piece here. So I looked at this one day and I said, you know what, that's a Tricky Dick. And of course, Kubrick fakes the moon landings, and the man he's working for is Tricky Dick Nixon. And of course, it has the balls on it. You have Alex DeLarge and the fuzzy yarbles, which is balls again. We have, what's this one here? Okay, we have the ball caps, you know. They're watching sumo. This is a sport where you have a circle, and it's your objective to push the man out of the circle. So, you know, we've got the flat earth circle, we've got the ball caps. You know, we've got the jelly donut. This is clever. When JFK went to Germany, he gave a speech, and his speech was misinterpreted as saying, I am a jelly donut. And so here we have the jelly donut, and Pyle forgot to lock his foot locker. This is Lee Ermey. He's your drill sergeant. You will learn. You will learn by the numbers. You will not laugh. You will not cry. You will learn this, because if you don't, you're in a world of shit. You've got, you know, here's the Joker. He's a military combat correspondent, just like J.D. Salinger, just like Alex Koval. So we have a combat correspondent thread here. So he says to Animal Mother, "Are you a photographer?" He goes, "No, I'm a combat correspondent." Well, J.D. Salinger was a combat correspondent, and also the man that does Horse and Train and Horse and Church, the two paintings that we saw earlier. He was a combat correspondent. So we have combat correspondence. Let's close this. We know the horse skull. I'm not going to get into him yet. Let's see here. Okay, let's go back to firsts. Kubrick's puzzle, everything is a first. It's the first black baseball player, the first black football player, the first moon landing, Apollo 11. The first Apollo mission was Apollo 1. So we're always doing first here. So this man here is named Raoul Amundsen. He's the first man that was ever to the North Pole. Remember how earlier I told you Kubrick tried to fly over the North Pole and he was forced to land on the ice? Well, this is the man that made it to the North Pole the first time, and also he made it to the South Pole the first time. So he's quite a famous person. He's born on July 16th, the day the Apollo 11 missions launch. So it's interesting that he shares a birthday with the release date of Eyes Wide Shut. He shares a date with JFK Jr., dies on July 16th. Apollo 11 launches on July 16th. The Catcher in the Rye is released on July 16th. So we have a nexus of July 16th. Let's minimize him. We may get back to him. You know, this is Frank Poole's birthday. Here's the birthday cake. We're looking for birthdays of Jungian, famous Jungian people that are included in this puzzle allegorically. So, you know, I'm just hammering these birthday clues because you need to understand that we're looking for birthdays. And also we're looking for death days. But let's just focus on birthdays right now. Let's see here. This is the first video phone ever used at Flushing, Corona, Queens at the 1964 World's Fair. So once again, it's first. It's the first time we ever saw the video phone. The first time we ever saw the Apollo hardware. You know, this is a clue to orbits and planets. You know, and he's a pedophile, and he's looking at her like he wants to do her, and she's doing the hula hoop. Here's the Mercury 7. This is hilarious. When you really look at a close-up of these helmets, they're basically fancy motorcycle helmets. There's no way the face of this helmet would seal at 14.7 psi. And even if it did seal at 14.7 psi, if you touched it to anything, it would explode out and you'd be dead. So none of these men went to space. It's a joke. And there's always 7. Mercury 7, the Gemini 7, you know. Let's not get to this yet. Let's go to, here we have this. My interpretation of this is Tycho Brahe. He's a redhead. They're in the Tycho crater. They've just landed, and this hydraulic thing is lowering them down. It looks like a face, but there's a problem with it. It's a face without a nose. There's no nose here. It's been cut off. So he's a redhead. He's in the Tycho crater. This would be his crater to land in. If Tycho had any crater he could land in, he would land in this one. So, you know, call me crazy. Maybe I'm interpreting this wrong, but it sure looks like a head to me. It looks like a red head. It has no nose. It's in Tycho crater. It's odd. Here we have let me go back to diseases again. This is Joker, you know, the card game allegory, Joker, king, queen, okay. And we have the prostitute, and he says, you know, half these hookers have TB, and the other half are VC spies. So he's giving you a little clue to tuberculosis. Keep that in the back of your mind. So now you have sickle cell, you have tuberculosis, you have fluoride, and that's the list so far. Let's not get to that yet. It's coming though. Here's Jack. You know, he looks like a playing card face. This is when the video cut out. That's what I was about to say. When he smashes through the door of perception with his chrome, shiny Collins axe with the eagle beak, he sticks his head through the door, and he's a two-eye Jack here. Remember, we're playing cards, so we have one-eye Jacks and this two-eye Jacks. So we have Apollo 1, we have Apollo 11, we have, you know, the 1, 2. Basically, one eye, two eye. So when you have one eye, you can't really see parallax. When you have two, you can see parallax. Let's minimize this for a second. Let's see what we got here. Here is one eye being killed with the bone weapon. This is Dr. Floyd. Remember we talked about balls earlier. There are literally balls everywhere in this movie. Now this one's very clever because this is Dr. Floyd, and he's in the Pan Am space shuttle, and it's weightless. There's 0 G in the space shuttle. And his ballpoint pen is floating around. Well, this is interesting because NASA spent a bunch of money to build a 0 G ballpoint pen that they could use in space. So they spent a ton of money, and I don't know if I have a picture of the actual NASA ballpoint pen, but they probably spent like $4 billion on it. And I think the Soviets said they used a pencil, but actually nobody ever goes, so nobody uses anything. But here's your ballpoint pen. It's floating in 0 G. What's this one? Okay, this is Robert Falcon Scott. When Arthur C. Clarke writes the book that the movie's based on, 2001: A Space Odyssey, he names the craft they fly to the moon in, or to Jupiter in, the Discovery craft. The Discovery craft is Robert Falcon Scott's ship from the Discovery expedition to the South Pole. So this man is very famous. He was the last man to the South Pole. He dies on his return trip. If you remember earlier, I showed you Raoul Amundsen. He was the first man. He missed the record by hours, supposedly. And here's Raoul. So here's the man that goes to the South Pole and the North Pole first. This is the man that tries to get to the South Pole first, but he fails and he gets frozen to death. The only reason we know that he made it is he has a diary, which is another clue. We're looking for diaries. In Lolita, there's a diary. The whole movie, Full Metal Jacket, is basically Modine's diary as he goes through. He reads it. So these two men, this is the last man to the South Pole. This is the first man to the South Pole. We have the first and last. So this is one of the first clues that we're not just looking for firsts. We're looking for firsts and last. We're not just looking for birthdays. We're looking for birthdays and death day. So this man is born on July 16th, the day the Apollo 11 launches, the day Eyes Wide Shut is released, the day JFK Jr. dies. The day, well, let's not get into that yet. This man dies, I believe this man is born on the day RFK dies. Let's go in here, I'll do it. So, Robert Falcon Scott. June 6th is the day Bobby Kennedy dies. So that's weird. June 6th is also Carl Jung's birthday. So wait a second, we got something weird going on. We've got Carl Jung, or I'm sorry, the day that Carl Jung died is the day that Robert Falcon Scott was born. Ping pong. Okay. Carl Jung is born July 26th, the day Kubrick is born. So let's go to somebody else now. Let's go to Aldous Huxley. So these are the person in his puzzle. Okay, you'll notice Huxley is born July 26th, and he dies the exact day, date, and year Kennedy dies. Might there be some threads using Kubrick's birthdays? You know, I mean, I find it. This is the man. The Doors of Perception. So he's born the day Kubrick is. He dies the exact day, date, and year Kennedy dies. This is the day, date, and year that Dr. Strangelove is released, and they have to change Dallas to Vegas, like Anne Margaret, Queen of Vegas. So this is one of the big clues. When you start this puzzle, you realize that Jung is essentially the center of the puzzle. He has the Bobby Kennedy date, he has the Robert Falcon Scott date, he has the Kubrick date, he's the Jungian archetype guy, the light and the dark, the shadow. So I'm going to stop with this date thing for a minute now, but I just wanted to show you that so you get an idea what we're talking about. So here's Robert Falcon Scott. He's born the day RFK dies. We have Horse and Train, RFK, JFK, November 22nd. Let's go beyond. This is Gus Grissom's mission patch for the Mercury program. Gus Grissom came down in a capsule one time, and when it hit the water, it started taking on water, and he couldn't get out. And just to the grace of God, he kicked his way out of the capsule, and he swam to the surface. And from that point on, you know, he was a hero. Oh, he escaped the sinking capsule. Well, this was the first attempt at his life they took, and it failed, and he got away. So in the next Mercury mission, they named his capsule the Molly Brown, after Molly Brown from the Titanic disaster. Molly Brown was the wealthy woman that survived the Titanic sinking. So they called her the unsinkable Molly Brown. So, you know, Gus Grissom swims out of his sinking capsule. They named the next capsule of the Mercury program the Molly Brown. In reality, he doesn't have much longer to live. He's going to be killed very shortly in the Apollo 1 fire. But this is a little clue to Titanic. So why is there a Titanic clue here? That's odd, right? It turns out the Titanic and the Olympic are not the original, not the story you've been told. The Olympic was hit by the HMS Hawk. This is another bird clue here. We have the Eagle and the Falcon and the Hawk anyway, I don't want to get into that now, but it was hit by a battleship. So this was a battleship rammed in the side of the ship so hard it destroyed the entire front of the battleship and bent the keel in the Olympic. At the point the keel in the Olympic was bent, it cannot be repaired. The only way to repair it would be build a new ship. So what they did is they riveted some panels on here and dolled it up, repainted it the Titanic, and sent it out on his maiden voyage, which was also its first and last voyage it ever went on. The Titanic is the first and I believe only ship to ever sink by hitting an iceberg. So it's very, so sort of like 9/11. You know, it's the first three buildings that ever collapsed due to a fire. Well, this is the first steel frame building, steel frame ship that sinks from hitting an iceberg. The only one. This is also the first time the SOS Morse code is ever sent, which it doesn't really help them. They all drown anyway. I want to mention here very quickly, there was a ship illegally seal fishing. It was named the Samson in this disaster. There was also another ship that was supposed to rescue them, screws up. It was named the California. And there was another ship that actually rescued them, was the Carpathia. So remember those little names, because Kubrick includes a lot of these little clues to flesh out this Titanic allegory. He doesn't rely on one clue. He's hitting you over the head with, you know, he's beating the dead horse. He's not putting one clue to the Titanic in his clue set. He's putting numerous, so if you miss one, you get the other ones. So there's, you know, the Molly Brown, the woman that survives the Titanic sinking. That's Gus Grissom. He's the man that's sacrificed in the Apollo 1 fire. This is the Lone Ranger Theater. I can't find a picture where it says the Lone Ranger, but you can see the Lone Ranger's gun here, and that it's a theater. There's the theater doors over here. These are theater seats. And so this is a clue to, here's Tonto over here. So it's a clue to the Lone Ranger and his horse Silver. And his silver, you know. So anyway, you have Silver, the gold room. And so they wanted to get laid, so... this is all, well, I'm not going to get into it. We do go into batting order. Like, the first guy that ends up grabbing her arm is this guy, is 8-Ball, I think. But anyway, the other guy grabs him. Animal Mother, the white guy, grabs him and he goes, oh, we got to have a batting order. A batting order is a clue to baseball, and, you know, there has to be a batting order. We're not ready for that. The Minotaur, you've seen this already. The fisheye, the Minotaur, the half man, half bull. Here's the tapir. This is the skull he's cracking at the end of the movie is not this animal. It's way too small. It's a little tiny pig. And here's the reason they were able to switch the Titanic and the Olympic and get away with the insurance job is they're essentially the same. But there are very minor differences. Very much like how the Burns twins are almost the same, but there are some differences that can be detected. This is a clever clue here. This is IBM is being projected on his face. So we have front screen projection, we have the Mercator projection, we have the Gleason map, we have the, what's the other, oh God, I can't think of it now. There's another projection. This is the Gleason projection. So it's front screen projection. So they're projecting IBM. Not only they're projecting it onto his face, but they're projecting it in the correct orientation. It's mirrored the correct way so we can read it, this is not normal. There's again, IBM. So IBM, HAL incremented by one letter is IBM. H becomes I, A becomes B, and L becomes M. HAL is IBM. So we're being given a clue that this is IBM is in the puzzle and computer projecting things on things. Here we have the fisheye lens again, okay? This is the same lens that's in the Kubrick Museum, okay? This lens, it's like $125,000, $150,000 lens. Because, why is it so expensive? Because not many people buy them. Because they're not really needed. You know, it's a very bizarre... here we go. This was the NASA NASA helmet I had when I was a little kid. I ran around the yard and I would blast off to the moon. It was a lot of fun. But it's not real, much like the moon landings. Let's do this. Here's the Molly Brown capsule that Gus Grissom goes into space with, but he didn't really go. Here's the Aurora 7. It's always 7. The Mercury 7, the Gemini 7, the Aurora 7. If you look at all the mission patches for Gemini, Mercury, and Apollo, 99% of them have a 7, either overtly in front of you or it's hidden in the mission patch somewhere. So if you ever get some time, look up NASA mission patches, see if you can find all the 7s in it, because it's 6 out of 7 continents. This is the Bone weapon, and it turns into the ICBM platform. So the Bone has changed in 40,000 years. They said 400,000 years, whatever. The bone has changed, and now it's just an ICBM. We're still beating ourselves with the bone. We haven't figured it out yet. We have the zigzag carpets. We have the zigzag jacket. We're playing ping pong. We're weaving. She has AIDS. So bing bong, you had sickle cell, you had tuberculosis, you had fluoride, now you got AIDS right there, right in front of you. And I'll get back to that. There's more clues to that. This is a clever clue. This man was in a TV series called UFO TV. And the first 4 episodes of this series are absolutely fascinating. If you haven't seen them yet, look up UFO TV show episodes. It was the first episode. It was a 4-part episode. This is the man that flies the Pan Am Space Shuttle in 2001: A Space Odyssey. I did not pick this guy and the UFO TV show out of thin air. It turns out a lot of the women that are in 2001: A Space Odyssey are also in this TV show with him, including Miss Scott, who's Tracy Reed. She plays the Playboy Bunny. She's in the show as well. So we have 2 different members of this bizarre TV show that was on in the 70s called UFO. And episodes 1 through 4 are the only ones you need to watch. Here's Lee Harvey Oswald, an excellent shot. He's mentioned in Full Metal Jacket as he's the one that shot Kenny in the suppository. So we're talking about toilets and turds and Coronas and toilet seats and suppositories. It's all a crock. Coriolis is a crock, and you're going to need a suppository to flush it. The Mercury 7, we've got the 7 in it. We've also got the bullhorns up here. Isn't that interesting? We have the bullhorns. This is Kubrick's lens in the museum inside its glass case. This is the $125,000 ultra wide angle lens. Nikkor made it. He had